The vast emptiness of space stretched before J. Park's trading vessel, the Silver Hawk. Stars twinkled like distant promises against the deep black canvas, and the ship's gentle hum was the only sound breaking the silence of the Crimson Quadrant. Jay wasn't a typical trader. At 32, he had weathered countless asteroid fields and survived more dangerous encounters than most spacers his age. His hands, calloused from years of navigation and emergency repairs, moved with practiced precision across the ship's control panels. The cargo hold contained rare mineral compounds, precious resources that could fetch a significant price in the frontier colonies. Most traders would avoid the risky asteroid belt, but Jay knew these routes like the back of his hand. Suddenly, a sharp beeping interrupted the calm. Multiple distress signals erupted across his communication systems. Most traders would ignore such calls, but not Jay. He shifted the Silver Hawk's trajectory, scanning the surrounding space. 3 predatory vessels surrounded a smaller scout ship. The scout moved erratically, clearly damaged and struggling to escape. Laser fire cut through the darkness, creating brilliant streaks of destructive energy. Jay recognized the scout's design. It belonged to the Kral system, an alien civilization known for their warrior culture. Without hesitation, he engaged the Silver Hawk's minimal combat systems. It wasn't a warship, but it was smart and agile. His first move was unexpected. Instead of direct confrontation, he used the asteroid field as a tactical advantage. Large, rocky formations became temporary shields, confusing the attacking vessels. He watched their movement patterns, calculating each potential attack vector. The lead mercenary ship suddenly found itself caught between an asteroid and the Silver Hawk's precise maneuvering. A quick burst of targeted energy disrupted its navigation. Systems. 1 down. Inside the damaged scout ship, Arya Tal gripped her control panel. Her vessel's shields were failing, weapons offline. She was a clan leader, trained in combat but currently outgunned and cornered. Jay's second tactical move involved creating gravitational interference. By manipulating the nearby asteroid's magnetic fields, he generated a chaotic environment that made targeting difficult. The remaining 2 mercenary ships started losing their precise tracking. A critical moment approached. Arya's scout was moments away from complete destruction. In a split-second decision, Jay aligned the Silver Hawk directly between the scout and the attacking vessels. The mercenaries, surprised by this unexpected intervention, hesitated. Their targeting systems struggled to lock onto Jay's rapidly moving ship. He wasn't fighting to destroy, he was fighting to create an escape route. As the conflict intensified, something unexpected happened. During a sudden maneuver, a ornate sword tumbled from Arya's failing ship. The weapon drifted, catching the starlight, a beautiful and deadly artifact. Jay's quick reflexes caught the sword through the Silver Hawk's cargo retrieval system. He didn't know its significance, but something told him it was important. The mercenary vessels, realizing their advantage was lost, retreated into the darkness of space. Jay's unconventional tactics had turned a potential massacre into a successful. Rescue Arya's scout powered down, its systems barely functional. She had survived, thanks to a human trader she had never met. As silence returned to the asteroid field, Jay Park checked his systems. The Silver Hawk had sustained minimal damage. The mysterious sword sat in his cargo hold, its intricate design, hinting at a story far more complex than a simple rescue. Little did Jay know that retrieving this sword would change everything. In the Kral system, such an action carried profound cultural implications, a commitment more binding than any legal contract. The starlight reflected off the sword's surface, almost like a silent promise of adventures yet to come. Jay set his navigation systems, plotting a course that would take him closer to the Kral territories. Something told him this journey was far from over. The Silver Hawk moved forward, carrying its unexpected treasure through the endless darkness of space. The Kral system's central communication hub buzzed with tension. Elders gathered in a circular chamber, holographic displays flickering with images of Jay Park and the recovered sword. Arya Tal stood at the center, her posture rigid with a mix of frustration and uncertainty. "He does not understand," an elder named Quran spoke, his voice deep and contemplative. By recovering the clan's sacred weapon during a moment of protection, he has unknowingly committed to our most sacred marriage ritual. Arya's hands clenched. She was a clan leader, respected for her strategic thinking and warrior skills. The idea of being bound to a human trader seemed absurd. Yet the clan's traditions were not something to be easily dismissed. In Kral culture, defending a clan leader with their own sacred weapon created an unbreakable bond. It was more than a legal contract. It was a spiritual connection that demanded complete commitment. The sword Jay had retrieved was not just a weapon, but a symbol of family honor and legacy. Thousands of miles away, Jay Park remained completely unaware of the cultural storm brewing around him. He continued his trading route, the sword carefully stored in a secure compartment of the Silverhawk. The clan's communication network began investigating Jay's background. They discovered a human with an unexpected history, a trader who had rescued multiple alien vessels, someone who showed respect for different cultures and demonstrated remarkable adaptability. "He is not a typical human," another elder named Mira observed, reviewing Jay's digital records. "His actions suggest a deeper understanding than most of his species." Arya listened silently. Her initial resistance began to crack. The more she learned about Jay, the more complicated her feelings became. This was not a simple arranged marriage, but something more nuanced. The Kral system had strict protocols. Jay would need to undergo multiple trials to prove his worthiness. These were not just physical challenges, but tests of character, strategic thinking, and cultural understanding. News of this potential union spread quickly. Some clan members were excited about the possibility of a human integration. Others remained skeptical, viewing it as a potential threat to their traditional way of life. Arya's personal communication device pinged, a message from her closest advisor suggested she should prepare for the potential arrival of her unexpected mate. The thought both irritated and intrigued her. Back on the Silverhawk, Jay continued his routine. He had no idea that an entire alien civilization was discussing his future. The sword remained in his cargo hold, a silent witness to the unfolding drama. The Kral elders made their decision. They would send an official communication to Jay, explaining the cultural implications of his actions. A formal invitation would be extended. Come and complete the traditional trials, or face the consequences of breaking their sacred traditions. Arya knew this would not be a simple process. Humans were unpredictable, and Jay seemed particularly complex. Would he accept the challenge? Would he understand the depth of the commitment he had unknowingly entered? The sword seemed to shimmer in its storage compartment, as if aware of the destiny it had set in motion. A simple act of rescue had transformed into something far more significant. As communication channels prepared the official message, the Kral system held its collective breath. A human trader, an unexpected warrior, a potential bridge between two very different civilizations. Arya looked at the holographic displays, her reflection overlapping the images of Jay Park. Something told her that this journey would change everything, not just for her but for both their species. The stars outside continued to shine, indifferent to the cultural revolution about to unfold. The Kral training ground looked like a landscape from another world. Massive rock formations created natural barriers, and multiple training zones stretched across a harsh terrain. Jay Park stood at the entrance, looking smaller than the other candidates, but with a determined gleam in his eyes. Arya watched from the observation platform, her arms crossed. The first trial would test physical endurance and combat skills. Most humans would fail within minutes. But Jay was different. The first challenge involved navigating a terrain filled with moving obstacles and energy barriers. Candidates needed to cross without being detected or touched by automated defense systems. Other alien participants moved cautiously, calculating each step. Jay did something unexpected. Instead of following traditional movement patterns, he studied the defense system's rhythm. His trader background had taught him observation skills that went beyond typical warrior training. Where others saw barriers, he saw patterns. In less than 20 minutes, Jay completed the course. The training masters exchanged surprised glances. No human had ever completed this challenge so quickly. The second trial tested strategic thinking. Candidates faced holographic battle scenarios that changed every few seconds. They needed to adapt, make quick decisions, and protect their team. Most participants struggled with the complexity. Jay's approach was unconventional. He didn't just react, he anticipated. His years of trading in dangerous asteroid fields had trained him to think several steps ahead. Each decision was calculated, each movement precise. The holographic commanders watching the trial began to take serious notice. This human was solving problems in ways their traditional warriors never considered. Arya felt something shift inside her. The trader she had initially dismissed was proving to be far more complex than she had imagined. His adaptability was impressive, his strategic mind sharp. The third trial involved hand-to-hand combat. Kral warriors were known for their incredible strength and reflexes. Most humans would be crushed within seconds. Jay's opponent was twice his size, with multiple redundant muscle groups and advanced combat training. But Jay didn't rely on pure strength. He used movement, redirection, and unexpected tactics. When his opponent charged, Jay would slide, using the attacker's momentum against them. Each movement was a calculated dance of survival. After 3 intense rounds, Jay stood victorious. Not through brute force, but through intelligence and adaptability. The clan elders discussed his performance in hushed tones. They had expected a human to fail. Instead, they were witnessing something extraordinary. Arya's perspective began to change. This was not just about completing trials. This was about understanding a completely different approach to conflict and survival. During a break, Jay examined the sacred sword he had retrieved weeks ago. He didn't know its full significance, but he treated it with respect. His fingers traced its intricate design, sensing something deeper than a simple weapon. The final trial would test cultural understanding. Candidates needed to demonstrate knowledge of Kral traditions, communicate using complex linguistic and physical protocols, and show genuine respect for the culture. Jay had been studying quietly. While other candidates focused on physical preparation, he had been learning language nuances, cultural gestures, and historical contexts. When the cultural trial began, Jay surprised everyone. He didn't just recite facts, he demonstrated genuine understanding. His movements, his speech, his respect, everything showed a deep commitment to learning. The observation platform fell silent. Arya felt something unexpected, a growing respect for this human who refused to be defined by typical expectations. As the final trial concluded, the clan elders made their decision. Jay Park had not just passed their trials. He had redefined what it meant to be a warrior. The sacred sword seemed to pulse with a quiet energy, as if approving of the journey that had brought them to this moment. Jay looked up, meeting Arya's gaze. Something unspoken passed between them, a recognition of potential, of a connection that went beyond simple cultural boundaries. The Kral system would never be the same again. The communication room buzzed with tension. Holographic maps showed multiple threat zones spreading across 3 planetary systems. The competing alien confederation, known as the Void Collective, was making its most aggressive move yet. Jay and Arya stood side by side, their hands barely touching the strategic display. Where traditional Kral commanders saw obstacles, they saw opportunities. Their unique partnership had become the system's most unexpected weapon. Intelligence reports indicated the Void Collective had developed a new navigation technology that could bypass traditional defense shields. Most military strategists were panicking. Jay and Arya saw something different. "They think linear," Jay muttered, his fingers tracing alternative route patterns. "Predictable movements mean predictable responses," Arya understood immediately. Her warrior training combined with Jay's trading experience created a strategy that nobody expected. They would use the enemy's confidence against them. The first phase involved creating false communication signals. Jay's expertise in trading, network communications, allowed them to design complex digital decoys. These signals would look like legitimate military communications, drawing the Void Collective's attention away from their actual target. Arya's clan provided the technical infrastructure. Kral communication systems were among the most advanced in the known galaxy. By integrating Jay's creative approach with their technology, they created a multi-layered defense strategy. Their plan was audacious. Instead of direct confrontation, they would make the Void Collective fight shadows. Every move would be anticipated, every potential attack route monitored and manipulated. The first test came quickly. A Void Collective scout fleet approached. The outer planetary boundaries. Traditional defense would involve massive energy weapon deployments. Jay and Arya's strategy was different. They used gravitational anomalies near asteroid clusters to create navigation challenges. The scout fleet found themselves trapped in a complex spatial environment where traditional navigation systems became unreliable. Military commanders watched in stunned silence. What should have been a direct conflict became a complex chess game. Of spatial manipulation, Arya's warriors provided the muscle, Jay provided the strategic thinking. Together they created a defense mechanism that transformed potential defeat into a calculated victory. The Void Collective's first wave was completely neutralized without firing a single direct weapon. Their advanced technology became their biggest weakness when confronted with an unpredictable strategy. News of their success spread quickly. Other planetary systems began requesting their collaborative approach. What had started as an unexpected cultural union was becoming a strategic asset for multiple civilizations. During quiet moments, Jay would practice Kral combat movements. Arya would study human trading communication protocols. Their personal relationship was becoming a living bridge between two different cultures. The sacred sword remained a constant presence. Sometimes Jay would hold it during strategy sessions, feeling its connection to Arya's clan. It was no longer just a weapon, but a symbol of their emerging partnership. Political leaders from various systems started requesting their consultation. A human trader and a Kral clan leader were rewriting strategic engagement protocols. Their success wasn't just about military strategy. It represented something deeper, the potential for different species to work together, to see beyond traditional boundaries. The Void Collective's leadership grew frustrated. Their most advanced technological assets were being systematically neutralized by an unconventional team they couldn't predict or understand. Jay and Arya's communication became almost telepathic. A single glance could communicate complex strategic decisions. Their differences had become their greatest strength. As the conflict expanded, so did their understanding of each other. What had begun as a cultural misunderstanding was transforming into a genuine partnership. The stars outside continued their silent watch. Countless light years away, the universe seemed to acknowledge something significant was happening. A human trader, a Kral clan leader, an impossible partnership that was changing everything. The sacred sword remained silent, a witness to a story that would be remembered for generations. The final battle approached like a gathering storm. Multiple planetary systems watched with collective breath, waiting to see if Jay and Arya's strategy would survive its ultimate test. The Void Collective had gathered its entire remaining fleet, thousands of advanced warships prepared to make their most aggressive attack. Traditional military wisdom suggested complete defeat was inevitable. Jay stood on the bridge of the Kral flagship, the sacred sword mounted behind him. Its presence was more than symbolic. It represented the journey that had brought him here. Arya adjusted communication systems, her movements precise and calculated. Their plan was revolutionary. Instead of direct confrontation, they would use the enemy's technological complexity against them. Every Void Collective ship relied on interconnected communication networks. One strategic disruption could collapse their entire system. Jay had spent weeks designing a digital weapon unlike anything seen before. By creating a complex algorithm that could simultaneously infiltrate and confuse multiple communication channels, he could essentially blind the entire enemy fleet. Arya's warriors provided the physical infrastructure. Specialized communication, ships positioned themselves at critical spatial points, ready to implement the complex digital strategy. When the first Void Collective ships entered the planetary defense zone, nothing happened as they expected. Their navigation systems began receiving conflicting signals. Strategic points they believed were vulnerable suddenly appeared heavily defended. The digital weapon worked perfectly. Each enemy ship started receiving different information, creating massive internal confusion. Some ships believed they were under attack from multiple directions, while others thought their own fleet was turning against them. Within hours, the Void Collective fleet began destroying itself. Their technological superiority became their greatest weakness. Ships fired at phantom targets, communication networks collapsed, and strategic coordination disappeared. Jay and Arya watched the unfolding scenario with calculated precision. This wasn't just a battle. It was a demonstration of how different perspectives could create unexpected solutions. Political leaders from multiple systems watched the live transmissions. A human trader and a Kral clan leader had done what entire military academies considered impossible. As the battle concluded, something unexpected happened. The remaining Void Collective leaders requested communication. They wanted to understand how they had been defeated so comprehensively. Jay and Arya's partnership became more than a military strategy. It represented a new model of interstellar cooperation. Their differences had become their greatest strength. Their sacred sword seemed to pulse with energy, a silent witness to their journey. From an unexpected rescue in an asteroid field to saving multiple planetary systems, their story had transformed into something legendary. Planetary reconstruction began immediately. The systems they had protected needed significant rebuilding. Jay's trading experience and Arya's organizational skills became crucial in managing recovery efforts. Their personal relationship had also evolved. What started as a cultural misunderstanding had become a genuine partnership. They understood each other in ways that transcended species, language, and traditional boundaries. News networks across multiple star systems shared their story. A human who understood alien cultures, a Kral leader who saw beyond traditional warrior perspectives. Their union represented hope for broader galactic understanding. Scientific institutions requested detailed studies of their strategic approach. Military academies began redesigning training protocols based on their unconventional methods. As starlight illuminated their shared bridge, Jay and Arya looked toward unexplored territories. The sacred sword remained mounted behind them, a constant reminder of the journey that had brought them here. The universe seemed to pause, acknowledging that something significant had changed. Traditional boundaries of species, culture, and understanding had been permanently transformed. Their story was just beginning. Somewhere in the vast darkness of space, new horizons waited to be discovered.